Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you all so much for being here today. I'm Eric Stern. I'm the Assistant Dean for Career Development. On behalf of the Career Development Office, we want to welcome you all to Berkeley Law. We're so excited you're here. Today, we are going to introduce ourselves and share a brief overview of what our office does for students and hopefully answer a lot of your questions. For the first part of today's program, I'm going to introduce you to our team so you can learn more about their backgrounds and areas of expertise. And then in the second half of the session, we're going to break up into smaller groups so that we can all move around and wake up and learn about some of the different areas of your interests, and you can hear a little bit about some of the areas of our expertise and specialization that you can count on receiving while you're here. If at any point we use terms that you're unfamiliar with, please raise your hand. Many Berkeley Law grads are the first in their families to become lawyers, and we are proud of the impact that we as a law school are making in the legal profession. There are a lot of new terms that you will all be learning as lawyers in training, and we encourage you to ask us today and during your 3 years here to explain what those terms mean. It is our job to help demystify the process of applying for legal jobs, and we're all committed to helping you succeed. The Career Development Office, or CDO, has 9 attorney counselors. All of our career counselors are former practicing attorneys, and we all know a lot of attorneys and legal professionals across the country that we are eager to help connect you with. Our counselors each have different areas of specialization, and they represent the 4 major categories of legal employers. Judicial clerkships, which are 1 or 2 year term positions where you get to work for a state or federal judge. Public interest, which includes nonprofits, public defenders, and much more. Public sector, which refers to government. And the private sector, which includes law firms of all sizes and in-house legal departments at corporations. We have 2 program coordinators in our office who focus specifically on supporting our public interest and public sector teams, as well as our private sector teams. And we have an employer relations and recruitment manager who oversees all of our on-campus interview programs. So for introductions, as I mentioned, my name's Eric. I'm the Assistant Dean. I've been working at Berkeley Law for almost 17 years in a variety of different roles. Before I came to Berkeley Law, I was a public interest lawyer. I worked in politics as well. I worked on a couple of different presidential campaigns, and I was a nonprofit executive director. I'm now going to kick it over to Shannon.
There we go. Hi. My name is Shannon Kahn. I'm the Deputy Director of the CDO. I have been working at law school career development for 9 years. Prior to that, I moved to California from the East Coast. I went to law school in New York. I clerked for the Southern District of New York judge there. And then I worked for a large law firm for 6 years doing transactional work, specifically restructuring, before moving to California. So anybody who's thinking about making the East Coast to West Coast move, I can share my thoughts about that. And we're excited to see you today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Han. I'm the Director of Judicial Clerkships. I have been at Berkeley Law for about 3 years now, and I also made an East Coast to West Coast move. So I practiced mostly patent litigation at a large law firm in DC. And before that, I clerked for a federal judge in Memphis, where I had lived and worked before law school.
Hi, I'm Kate Ortbon. I joined the CDO last May, and I left private practice where I practiced in Dallas, Texas for almost 7 years, and I did commercial real estate and private equity work, so that's transactional side. And, I'm also a first-generation law student, so I understand all of the new words and things, and we can kind of relate on that point.
Hi, I'm Leslie Hauser. I also joined the CDO in May, and I focus on working with students looking at private sector. Before joining Berkeley, I worked at the University of Chicago Law School in career services for over 10 years, took a bit of a diversion into politics for a few years, and then came back because I love working with law students. So lived in Chicago for 25 years and Houston before that. So if you have questions about making move from Texas or the Midwest to California, It's very sunny and lovely here.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm the Public Interest Public Sector Program Coordinator.
Hi, I'm Taya Lewis. I'm the Private Sector Program Coordinator. I've worked in student services for the majority of my career at a law school in LA and an art school in San Francisco. I'm a Bay Area native, and you'll see me running around a lot. And please feel free to stop me and ask me questions.
Hi, everyone. I'm Janae Aubry. I'm a public interest counselor here. I am the newest. I started about 2 weeks ago, so I'm new just like you. I'm happy to be here and see all of your faces. I have a history in public interest work, so doing immigration work, gender-based violence work, and housing, both as an attorney and as a policy advocate.
Hi, everyone. My name's Lucy Benz Rogers. I'm one of the other public interest counselors here at the CDO. And I am a Bay Area native, but I went to law school in New York, ended up starting my career in direct services in the immigration and migrant workers space in Michigan, and then made my way back to California to join Immigration Institute of the Bay Area. And I've been at the CDO now for 2 years. So I have plenty of background in direct services, nonprofit work, immigration, as well as international human rights. So if those are of interest to you, I'm happy to talk about them and everything else, as you will hear. Thank you all for being with us.
And Deep Kaur Jodhka is our third public interest counselor. You'll have the chance to interact with Deep when we break up into small groups. Deep graduated from Berkeley Law in 2013, and before joining the CDO, she worked for nearly 9 years, providing systemic advocacy and direct civil legal representation to low-income people with disabilities, people with criminal records, and military veterans. We also have 2 members who are not here today. Liz Klein, who is our Director of Private Sector Programs. Liz has been a member of the private sector team here since 2020. She is what we call a double bear, meaning she went to Berkeley undergrad and law school. She worked as an intellectual property litigator at a large law firm in San Francisco, and is our expert on law and tech careers. And Liz Granlund, who's our employer relations and recruitment manager, who's been with the CDO for 7 years. Now that you've learned a little bit about us, we want to learn a little bit about you. So raise your hand if this is your first time visiting California. Welcome. And raise your hand if this is your first time on Berkeley's campus. Awesome. So whether you're new to the state or you're already familiar with it, we would encourage you to ask faculty, staff, and students for recommendations of things to explore and do while you're a student at Berkeley Law. I have another question for you. Raise your hand if you worked with a career counselor in college. All right. So our studies show that most college students don't necessarily work with their career services offices, and even those that do tend not to do so until their senior year. Your experience with law school career services is going to be very different. We'll begin working with you during your very first semester of law school. And we have a plan for you that involves meeting with one of the counselors during the first couple months of the fall semester, and then participating in a 3-part series that introduces you to legal careers. And then you'll keep working with us throughout your 3 years at Berkeley Law and beyond. We're going to help you find your 1L summer job, your 2L summer job, and your first job after graduation. And then we'll be there to help advise you as you make different career transitions as alums. We're all committed higher education professionals, and we work year-round to support students. Our goal is to try to add unique value to your student experience. And here are some of the ways that we do that. We spend a lot of our time trying to share our expertise about careers, which is based on our practice experience and our constant learning and professional development, because we want to be able to provide you with customized, one-on-one career counseling and coaching, which is what we spend most of our time doing. We're going to help you apply to summer jobs. We're going to partner with you to help you find your first job after graduation. We're going to serve as a sounding board as you weigh options, and you will have a lot of options. We'll review your cover letters and your resumes. We're going to help prepare you to excel in your interviews. We're going to connect you to our nationwide, our worldwide alumni network. We present lots of programs and workshops and panels They're designed to help you explore different career paths and to hear different perspectives from many lawyers so that you can make informed decisions about the type of careers you want to pursue. We maintain an online database with thousands of job opportunities, and we host 3 large organized campus interview programs to help make it easier for you to apply to and find summer and postgraduate jobs. We spend a lot of time thinking about how we can lean on our expertise to help you navigate complex application processes for popular jobs like judicial clerkships, international human rights fellowships, public interest fellowships, government honors programs, all of which are competitive, all of which are complex. It's our job to hopefully make it easier for you to pursue one or more of these types of opportunities if you're interested in doing so. Most of all, we want to be there for you when you need us. And so we make ourselves available in 30-minute counseling sessions, during daily drop-in hours, by Zoom, by email, by phone. We're here when you need us. Before I talk about where our 1Ls tend to work for the summer, I wanted to share with you one last thing about why our office is structured the way it is, because we know that you're making decisions about where you want to attend law school and that you have good choices. So some of our peer schools have offices that are divided by distinct career paths. For example, they might have an office of judicial clerkships. They might have an office for public interest careers. At Berkeley Law, we have a one-office model, and we believe that it best serves our unique student population. It is very common for Berkeley Law students to be considering a number of different career options throughout their time in law school. We encourage this. And in fact, there are some students who, before they graduate, will meet with every single counselor in the office to explore all the different opportunities that your Berkeley Law education is going to make possible. We also encourage you to come in and talk to us about your long-term plan. We are all planners, and we are here for you to bounce ideas off of us and talk about the different things that you might want to do over the course of your career. And finally, and maybe most importantly, we know a lot of people. And so it's really important for us to work together to collaborate and harness our collective contacts so that when one of us is working with a student, we can all talk to each other about who we might know and what kind of job leads we might have that we can provide to the counselor that's working with that student so that you can benefit from our entire network and all of our expertise. So where do 1Ls work during the summer? As many of you know, just about every single 1L does legal work during their first summer. And again, we are here to help you all secure those first summer jobs. And you do that again during your second summer. It's a chance to apply what you're learning in law school, to explore a career path, and to meet attorneys, hopefully some mentors, work on your research and writing, develop key skills. So nearly half of the class tends to do public interest or public sector work during their first summer. Some examples might include working in a legal aid office, doing impact litigation, working on policy, working for a public interest law firm, or doing criminal defense-related work. And then about a third of the class will work in the private sector. This means that they have worked in a law firm of different shapes and sizes, serving different kinds of clients. They've maybe worked in-house at a legal department of a corporation. And then about 15% will work for judges in what are called judicial externships. Judicial externships are essentially internships with judges that you do during the summer or during the school year for credit. To support students doing public interest or public sector work, Berkeley Law offers guaranteed funding to every 1L or 2L doing qualifying public interest or public sector work over the summer. And this is great because unfortunately many of these jobs are still unfunded. So it's really important for us as a law school to have the value of providing financial support to students who want to do this kind of work. So we fund students working at nonprofit organizations, federal, state, and local government agencies, and in the chambers of judges both at the federal and state level. And again, for students who have long-term career aspirations to do public interest or government work, we have 3 full-time public interest, public sector counselors to serve, support, and guide you. You may also be wondering where our grads start their careers. And while many of our graduates start their careers in big law firms, our office has worked extremely hard to make it easier for students to pursue a wide range of opportunities. Unlike many of our peer schools, a significant number of our graduates start their careers in public interest, government, clerkships, and in private law firms that do public interest work. In fact, we're seeing a tremendous amount of interest lately among students to explore careers with what are called plaintiff-side firms. Plaintiff-side firms are firms that represent plaintiffs, either individuals or sometimes groups, to bring a lawsuit against a party, usually a corporation or institution, that has caused them harm. Plaintiff-side firms represent plaintiffs in a broad range of legal issues, including employee rights, consumer rights and protection, personal injury, medical malpractice, product liability, antitrust violations, and securities. To help make this growing career path more accessible, Leslie and I hosted a career fair for students a few days ago that allowed them to meet with 25 different plaintiff-side firms. The attorneys attending this event told us that this was the first career fair of this kind they had ever attended at a law school nationwide. We've also invited plaintiff-side firms to participate in all of our interview programs to make it easier for students to apply for summer and postgraduate jobs with these firms. Here are some key stats we wanted to share with you. 67% of our grads started their careers at law firms. Nearly 87% of them at law firms with 251 or more attorneys. These are the firms that you hear that are called big law. We typically have between 10 to 15% of our class starting their careers in judicial clerkships with federal and state court judges. And it's important to know that based on Anna's great work, half of our clerks go on to do public interest work immediately following their clerkships in their second year of practice. Nearly 22% of our grads start their careers in public interest or government jobs. That was a 6% increase from the year before. We had recently 18 graduates working in public defender offices in California, Colorado, New York, New Orleans, and New Mexico, among other locations. And our graduates have done well in securing some of the most sought after and competitive entry-level public interest in government jobs in the nation. You might have heard about Skadden Fellowships or Equal Justice Works Fellowships. These are what are called project-based fellowships, where you design a project that is meant to address an unmet need in the legal community. You design that project in conjunction with what's called a host organization, which is just the employer that you would go to work for. And if you're selected, you get to implement that project with the nonprofit organization you're working for over a 2-year period. And there's all kinds of great benefits that come from being a Skadden or Equal Justice Works Fellow. So in 2023, we were the #1 school for Equal Justice Works Fellows. We set a school record. We had 7 in one graduating class. In 2024, we were the #2 school for Skadden Fellowships. You might have heard about government honors programs. The most famous is the United States Department of Justice. They have an honors program. They are the largest legal employer in the United States. And their honors program has led many other federal, state, and local government agencies to create similar honors programs. And the honors programs are in place to facilitate the hiring of entry-level attorneys into these agencies, to build the pipeline of lawyers at these agencies. So California, where it is quite difficult to get an entry-level government job, when Vice President Harris was the Attorney General for California, she created the California Attorney General's Honors Program, which is a mechanism for hiring entry-level attorneys into what is California's largest employer, which is our Attorney General's office. It is very difficult to get into this office right out of law school, which is in part why they created this program. So this is sort of breaking news because it just kind of happened within the last couple of weeks, but we found out that we were the #1 school for placement in the California Attorney General Honors Program, and that we set a school record. We have 6 people going into that program, and it is not a big program. And if you get into this program and you want to stay at the AG's office, you can do that for the rest of your career. So it's a really outstanding opportunity to do really impactful public service work. And of course, as you might have heard, or I hope that you'll hear while you're attending Berkeley Law's Admit Weekend, we have one of the best LRAP programs in the country. LRAP is our Loan Repayment and Assistance Program, which helps provide you with financial support as a lawyer if you're doing public interest or government work. And of course, we all know now hundreds and hundreds of Berkeley Law graduates who have had all of their loans forgiven by the federal government through the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. So geography, you might be wondering where our students start their careers. The Pacific, which includes California, is still the #1 destination for our graduates. 65% of them began their careers in this region. That was actually down from 71% the year before. So why is this? Well, our colleagues in admissions tell us that our 2 top feeder schools are still Berkeley and UCLA, and that a lot of our students have California connections. And those that are not necessarily from the Bay Area sometimes fall in love with the Bay Area once they are here at Berkeley Law, or they fall in love with somebody who lives in the Bay Area and they decide to stay. So it's a choice. But if you decide to practice somewhere else, you will be well positioned to do so with a Berkeley Law education. And our office will be very excited to work with you because, as you can hear, we've all practiced all around the country. We'll be very excited to work with you to put together a plan that will allow you to practice wherever you might want to live and sort of build your career and put down roots. So we're seeing an uptick in the number of grads, for example, who are starting their careers in the Mid-Atlantic, which includes New York City. That number was up 5% from 15%, up from 10% the year before. We also saw a slight increase in the South Atlantic, which includes DC. That number is now at 10%, and then even a slight increase in the Mountain region, which includes Denver at 5%. And we host programs for 1Ls who are interested in practice in major markets outside of the Bay Area, including New York, DC, Southern California, and thanks to Kate, for the first time ever, Texas. Before we break into groups, I wanted to add one more thing. Anna Han, who's our Director of Judicial Clerkships, and I, we meet frequently with judges. We try to bring judges to campus as much as we possibly can, in part because we want you all to be thinking about clerkships, but honestly, our secret mission is for all of you to think about becoming judges. So we met recently with Judge Ana de Alba, who is a judge that was appointed by President Biden to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, which is a federal appeals court. And she was accompanied by Justice Hernaldo Baltodano, who was appointed by California Governor Newsom to the California Court of Appeals, which is the intermediate appellate court in California, right below the California Supreme Court. Judge de Alba and Justice Baltodano are both Berkeley Law alums. They were also the first in their families to attend college and law school. I am the founding staff advisor for our first generation professionals group, and I run our mentorship program. And Judge de Alba and Justice Baltodano, before they became judges, were in the first cohort of our mentorship program. So they are really dedicated long-term mentors. They both have achieved great success, obviously, as lawyers. I think Judge de Alba could end up on the Supreme Court one day. And they asked Anna and I to remind you all about the importance of finding mentors and building relationships with your mentors. If you decide to come to Berkeley Law, you will have the chance to participate in a lot of mentorship programs, and I hope that you take advantage of at least a few of those opportunities. Some of the attorneys that you'll meet will become long-term mentors to you, and others will not, and that's okay. You're going to meet a lot of attorneys outside of mentorship programs, and it may feel weird when they tell you that they would be willing to help you in your legal career, but they mean it. and you should follow up with them. Just yesterday, we were in a meeting with a student who said that she met Judge DeAlba when she was here, and that Judge DeAlba said, please call me. You know, I'd be happy to follow up on what we were talking about. And the student said, I haven't called Judge DeAlba yet. And I said, Judge DeAlba told me that students do this all the time, and you gotta call her and follow up with her because she really means it. She wants to help you. So I would just deliver the same message to you all, that when attorneys say that, they mean it. And especially our alums who are really invested in your success. They had a great experience at Berkeley Law. It helped set them up for a wonderful career, and they want to give back. So the other thing I'll say too is that outside of these mentorship programs, we would really encourage you to keep coming back into our offices when you are looking for contacts. Connecting students to our alumni network is definitely a favorite part of all of our jobs. And your interests, and maybe even where you want to practice, may shift as you move through law school. And again, that's okay. We're here for that. And it'll be to your benefit to talk to folks who are doing work that you're interested in doing, and doing it in the places where you might want to live and put down roots. All right, it's time to wake up and move around a little bit after I've talked at you. And we're going to move to the interactive program. So we're going to be breaking into small groups so that you'll have the opportunity to meet with us and learn about different career paths. And then after 15 minutes, if time permits, we'll stop, and then you'll have the opportunity to move to a different group. So in the first group, we're going to have Anna, who will raise her hand to talk about judicial clerkships. The second group will have Lucy to talk about government careers, summer public interest funding, and direct legal services. In the third group, we'll have Janae and Deep, who are going to talk to you about public defender, international careers, fellowships, private public interest law firms, and the full range of nonprofits. And then Kate and Leslie are going to talk to you about private sector careers. When the 15 minutes are up, Shannon's going to let everybody know it's time to switch, and we're looking forward to being in conversation with you. Thank you.